Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be taking a look at the SE5. I own two fixed blades, this and the Gerber LMF2, and this is by far my favorite. Starting off, just have a really simple sheath design. Kydex, it's got this screw up here rotates, and as you rotate it tightens the kind of this opening of the sheath right here to the point where if the screw is all the way up, you can't take the knife out. So it kind of locks the knife in place, whereas if you put it down, then you can just slide it out with ease. So I think that's a really simple but innovative design for how to keep kind of a little, just a security thing for this knife. On the other side, we have this plastic, I don't know what kind of plastic it is, but has a pocket clip basically. It acts as a belt loop as well. But what I actually did is when I first got this guy, I swapped this out with my Microtech Halo 5 because it has one of those fancy belt like latch things, and I decided I would rather just have a regular clip. But here we go, back on the SE5. So if we take him out of the sheath, put it over the side, you can see this guy's a beast of a knife. One thing I'll focus on right here at the beginning is just how thick the blade is. The blade thickness is ridiculous. It's a 1/4 inch. It's solid. It's like a rock. Handle thickness is 3/4 inches. So it just fits so well in the hand. It's so comfortable. The subtle curve and the chamfering, whatever you want to call it, of the micarta scales it's perfect. It's perfectly well molded to hold on to. There's no jimping up here, but you honestly don't really need it. It's your finger has not really any risk of popping over the edge, and there's a good bit of knife before you get to the blade itself. You do have some very subtle jimping here at the top on the spine of the blade. It's a little difficult to do fine cutting with this big of a knife, so it's not really a huge deal that it lacks serious jimping. But like I said, these scales are micarta. They're smoothed out just a tad, so it still gives you a good grip, but it's not going to tear your hands up if you're not wearing gloves or anything like that. It's got this heavy coating on the blade. I don't know if this is Cerakote or whatnot, but it gives a nice texture. It hides wear really well. I've used this guy a little bit to like chop down small trees and just little survival things like that. I'm not sure. Let's see what the blade is. Blade material is 1095. I don't know what that means. I assume that's not a great blade steel, but like I mentioned in the LMF video, you're not really gonna find kind of an affordable fixed blade that is made out of some quality steel like M390 or something like that. So if we want to talk about the balance is perfect on this knife. Right where my pointer finger rests as I'm gripping the knife, that's where the center of gravity is. I can balance it effortlessly right here, and then just seamlessly grip onto the knife is the way I would hold it normally. This guy's 11 inches long, with the blade making up 5 1/4 inches. So you got the remaining 5 3/4 inches in the handle. It's just, I love this knife. It's so solid. I haven't handled any of the other Esee models, so I don't know how well this compares to like a 4 or 6 just on the neighboring models, but I really like this knife. I'm really glad I found it. It makes a great survival knife. It really does. It's got this nice huge lanyard hole at the bottom if you want to put some paracord around there with and it has kind of this little, see, pointed edge on the bottom here that, you know, you could call it a skull crusher or whatever you want. One thing is I have no idea what this is. This little like dent drilled into the handle, I have no idea what that is. I'm sure I could if I looked it up, but I've never known what it is off the top of my head. As you can see, it's a full tank construction, meaning it's a one solid plate piece of steel. The blade is hefty, but as I showed just a second ago, it's balanced. You know, the blade isn't weighing you down, even if it looks like it might. It's really, really evenly balanced between the blade and the handle itself. But the heft of this knife, it weighs 15.9 ounces. So it basically weighs a pound, and that gives you a lot of momentum whenever you're chopping something. So like I said, I use this to chop down small trees, and it made it easy. It's just, you just go at it. The blade gives you a lot of heft, and you know, you can move your hand farther down the handle to get even more momentum and more kind of leverage whenever you're doing kind of a chopping motion. But it really, really makes for a great survival knife. Any kind of chopping or sawing you need to do, it's gonna get the job done. The one complaint I have about this knife is the serrations. They're pointless. They're, as you can see, you can't even see them on the other side of the blade. Like, you can just barely see the little indentations on there. Like, it's nothing. They have no purpose. It's really stupid. But that's really my only complaint. And honestly, you're better off getting the full plain edge one, really. But besides that, I think this is a fantastic knife. I'm looking now, and it says a bow drill divot. I'm not sure what that means. I'm sure it has some kind of function, or else it wouldn't be there. But anyways, yeah, my only complaint with this knife is the serrations. Other than that, it makes for a great survival piece. Very well weighted, great to use for any chopping or, you know, emergency function you'd need. I love the micarta handles. This was my first experience with micarta, and I've been looking at a couple knives now with micarta, and I hope that they feel like this does, because if not, it'll be a disappointment. But great fixed blade knife. I'll do a quick size comparison here with Gerber LMF, which is my other fixed blade knife. Similar sizing. Move them both into frame. If we line them up at the end, they're very close to the same size. If I want to pull out two other knives, we can do the Spyderco Tenacious. Very cheap, very affordable knife. It's like 30 bucks now. And then something on the upper end of the spectrum, like the Koenig Arius. If we line them all up, you can see that these are both, you know, not big knives, but not small knives either. And Esee just dwarfs them. It's got 3 inches or something like that on them. But while we're talking about price, this guy comes in at about $100 on Blade HQ. MSRP is almost $200, so you know, I don't know what goes on with Blade HQ and how they get those prices, but you can see why they shut down all the family-owned stores. But again, this is a fantastic survival knife. I mentioned in my LMF video that it would make a good truck knife, and I think this would make a good truck knife as well if you ever anticipate getting into, you know, it's like a survival situation. I think it would be a good knife to have. So if you're in the market for fixed blade and you're really just gonna be doing, you know, maybe you're hiking with it, you're camping, backpacking, whatnot, I would think I would give this guy some heavy consideration along with the other Esee models. So, yep, this has been the Esee 5.